What are SQL injections and why do they occur? It's an interesting question because SQL injection is one of the top 10 vulnerabilities as per OWASP, and it's been there for years and still we see it. Let me tell you a story before I get started. So this year in February, we bought this car on my birthday. Now, it's a Mercedes-Benz C-Class and there is no Benz showroom in my city. So we had to take the delivery from another city. However, when we were taking it out of showroom, there was a checkpoint. On the checkpoint, there was a camera which scans the number plate of the car. On the number plate, it scans that number and compares that number in the database, and if the car is involved in some kind of fraud, or if there is some ticket pending, or if there is some criminal charges, it will not open. However, we just bought this car 5 minutes ago. It doesn't even have a number plate. That was completely blank. Now here, I have two options. I could even wait there for a whole day, get a number plate, maybe a temporary one, and then pass through the checkpoint. Or what I did is, I wrote the special characters, which is SAGAR, single quote, or 1 equals 1. Now this is a special query. When you put this in any database, it will always return true, and the checkpoint compared this thing in the database and checkpoint said, yeah, allow this car, and it just opened and I took my car. And that's how I passed that checkpoint, by putting an SQL injection. Now let me explain how this statement bypasses any checkpoint. You see, think about a login page. How does a login page looks like? There is a username, there is a password, and there is a login button, right? That's the front end, but think about the back end. In the back end, there is a lot of code, as you can see on your screen right now. You don't need to learn coding, but try to focus on that red part of the code. That is the code which is responsible to check if your password and username is true or not. Let me make it more easier. So this is the simplified version of the code. In this code, it's asking select star from login where username equals something, password equals something. So there is the field username, there is the field password. In a login form, you fill these fields and it goes to the database and it checks, hey, is there any user in the login table which has the username of Sagar and password as Bansal? If there is, it will return a result. If there is not, it will not return a result. So the parameter here, we can choose any of these. Let's say password. This is the expected input, password equals XYZ. But a hacker like me will not give XYZ. I will give X single quote YZ. Now, do you see what just happened there? That X was supposed to be closing with XYZ and then that single quote. However, I just added a single quote and now I have two statements, password equals X. And then there is another statement which is Y, Z and single quote. Now once I am able to do that, I can write an exploit like select star from login where username equals Sagar and password equal X or 1 equals 1. So the system will check, okay, is there any user which is Sagar and is the password X? Or just check if 1 is equal to 1, which is always true. That is a tautology. 1 is always equal to 1. Which means that the result will be true and it will return a true statement and I will be able to log in. This is the reason SQL injection occurs. When you are able to control the database, put some data and manipulate it according to your wish, that's why SQL injection becomes so deadly. Of course, we'll be talking about how to make these queries, how to write this code in later lectures, but this is the concept. That is how SQL injection works. This is the reason of SQL injections to exist. When user is able to give certain data and control the database with that data, that is where an SQL injection comes into the picture.